getting crazy, baby, chill. Don't medicate, just meditate. You waking up now, well, baby, you hella late. Educate, look at what's going on, let it resonate, accelerate. Find your inner hunger like you never ate. Agenda is to push the hate, separate and segregate. Don't celebrate quite yet, the storm is coming, Q, for heaven's sake. Violence that they demonstrate, instigate and penetrate. The values of our country and our God is what they desecrate. My fighters ain't no featherweight, pulling out the seams of the fabric that they fabricate. They feed us lies, manipulate, intimidate through fear and force, forcing us to sit and wait till we come together, congregate, and then we liberate. Praying that you give me strength to find some love amongst the hate, marching on these streets of blood.
Welcome back to Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing well. Is this sweatshirt going to cause issues? Do I need to take that off?
I think it's dark enough.
It's dark enough.
You should be all right. If not,
I'll blend in. It'll just be my head. I'm floating around.
American flag, whatever we do for background, just Steve's head.
I wasn't expecting it to be in the 40s today.
Yeah, it feels like fall.
Yeah.
It's cold.
It's cold.
When
I started the fire up, I had wood in there anyway, so I was like, well, this is a perfect opportunity to.
Well, they're talking like maybe a low of 27 tonight, so.
I got to remove those apple trees.
Yeah, you might want to put them in the garage. Yeah, we got some pellets because I was saying to Andrew, I was like, oof, it's kind of chilly because we haven't, it's been a couple weeks. We haven't had to run the pellet stove, and the problem with pellet stove is like the one I have, okay? The one I used to have at the other house was better, but say you want it to be 70, you set it for 70. The old stove, which was a better brand, you could do that. But this one, you can set it for a low setting, but it still keeps running, so it gets hot. But now it's chilly enough. I'm like, hey, we just start that, get at least warmed up in here a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was surprised, and then tomorrow and the rest of the week is supposed to be beautiful.
Beautiful,
again.
yeah.
Just a little bump here, so yeah.
Works out for me though, because I think what I'm going to do is I went and worked on the garden yesterday a lot more.
It looks flatter and smoother now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. So I did that mid-buster, and then I kind of flattened it back out after I did that, and then I just eyeballed it, and I'm like, all right, I need to try to shave this part down just to try to keep it. Because remember where that corn was? That was just too deep, but where you took that boulder out, and then I cleaned up the yard where you push that boulder. It had, like I was hitting rocks when I was mowing, so I used my back blade, or is that what it's called, back blade?
Yeah, it's like a
rear blade.
Yeah, drag it.
And so I drug it for So I did that for a while, keeping me. And I thought it made me sick because Monday I came inside after being on the tractor for like 5 hours of doing that near the garden and that back spot of the yard. I was really nauseous, and then Donna had written saying, "Oh, I'm going to go to the select board meeting tonight. I don't know if you've seen the agenda or whatever." So I was like, well, superintendent's going, I should go. I did not want to go because I was very nauseous. And I made it through the meeting. I didn't stay for the whole thing. Once they finished talking about the bus barn informational brief, I left. But still kind of feeling a little nauseous.
Maybe you're pregnant.
No, Nikki said it might be like a little bit of a viral thing or something. Probably.
Yeah, Andrea says the last couple days, every time she eats, she doesn't feel well.
Yeah, that's kind of... I'm in sync with Andrea, even though I haven't seen her in a few weeks.
You sure you haven't seen her in a few weeks?
I haven't. And when I saw her, she was driving down the road.
There was just enough, Windows were down. No, yeah, she said the same thing, so I don't know. Hopefully.
Maybe there's something going around.
No, I'm sure there's already something going around, Got to keep the people down.
Well, with all the pollutants coming down from the sky. I took a picture again the other day in front of Shaw's. It was like on one side of the sky, it's beautiful and blue. It looked so clean and pristine. And then you turn around the opposite way, and there were like 6 lines going across the sky.
That's the geoengineering they're doing. I was telling you before we started the show that.
That's why I brought it up, just to give you a little segue.
Yeah, because I saw this plane, and it's a passenger plane. They took out most of the seats, and then there's these big tanks, and they spray for something. And now they didn't say what they're spraying for, but that's a little big for crop dusting because those planes, they go up way up high in the air. So whatever they're doing, it's not good. They want to, so climate change. Well, if you don't want to buy that, then we'll just change the climate and force it on you, it seems like. So, I mean, they did it for the Olympics in China. They can create their own weather.
They're doing it out in the desert in the Middle East.
Exactly.
They're turning it green, or in Africa, wherever it is, but somewhere out there.
So if you don't think that that's possible, you're not
Yeah.
aware that it's possible. It sounds crazy.
It sounds like
I'm
science fiction.
Yeah, it's not. It's something to do, and so if the temperature won't go up and we can't change the climate, we'll do it ourselves and we'll change it that way. I don't know. Nonsense.
Yeah, kind of in the same way that our pole is shifting rapidly lately. Have you noticed that? Have you researched any of that?
I've heard it's changed, but I haven't heard like how rapidly. So I'm sure we're doing something.
It's just weird to me because you learn about that in the military because you have a compass, and so you got to know the difference between
true north, not necessarily true north now.
And if it's true, what I've read, and then it's moving a lot quicker than I would suspect that it would.
Yeah,
just like internally, my gut feeling is that's
because usually those things move over millions of years or tens of thousands of years, whatever. It's obviously slow. Just like everything, it's a slow progression, and now suddenly it's like, oh, it's going faster.
And allegedly, the poles have flipped several times throughout Earth's history.
Millions of years, though. Yeah.
Hopefully, we're not really in that. Maybe it's
thing,
just because they're running all the, what is it, that big dark matter energy thing, CERN.
Yeah, something that would, yeah.
All you need to do is watch any opening ceremony for anything that involves CERN, and you'll see how righteous that organization is.
Yes.
I'm just saying I would look it up and be like, hey, Google, show me the CERN opening ceremony for...
The train thing, remember the train?
There's just weird stuff that...
Yeah.
You can call it art, avant-garde, whatever.
Dark art.
That's not artistic to me.
No, it's effed up. Yeah, I don't know. It's just...
We have different views of art if you watch that. And it's like the opening Olympics ceremony where the death was dancing over the kids in the hospital beds. Like, what? It was 2012?
Yeah.
Right? I think it was 2012.
Well, I mean, you've got election year coming up there next year. Next year? Yeah, next year already.
Coming up
24, yeah. Jeez, it is coming up fast. I mean, it happens at the end of the year, but still, so be prepared because there'll be some massive thing that requires us to mail our votes in.
Yeah, there'll be something.
Mark my words.
Well, since you brought that up, there is a push amongst the conservative crowd to start doing what the leftists are doing, which is ballot harvesting. If it's legal for them, it should be legal for conservatives, right?
I mean, one part of me thinks, well, if they start doing that, then conservatives will all of a sudden want, leftists will now say, hey, well, no, we need to make sure these ballots are right. And
right. It just flip flops back and forth.
Right.
It's never ending unless we put an end to it as citizens.
Right. No, you show up to vote. That's how I feel about it. You can't make it to the polls. That's unfortunate for you. You have a right to vote, but nowhere does it say that we'll come get you, we'll carry you in. Well, no, you have a right to vote. Here's where we're voting. Here's the time period we're voting.
We just become a lazy society.
And now we're going to lose our society because of it.
They locked us all down for 2 years, and everybody became antisocial.
Mm-hmm. No one's ever talked about all the vaccinated deaths.
Or you don't have to call it that. You could say what is it? They use a different term for it. The unexplained...
Sudden death syndrome or...
Sudden adult death syndrome that all of a sudden just started.
Yeah. Amazing.
Hey, we got different culprits, though. Is it the geoengineering? Is it the medicines that we're taking?
Yeah.
Is it the stress on our lives from, every day there's fear and an emergency going on? Like, there's never just like a, hey.
Right. Normal day. Was it that 5th booster shot you got?
I mean, it's scary because I know people who I love and care about that have gotten those things, and then when you go and you look at it objectively, there's some unexplained circumstances out there where people are dying that shouldn't be, generally speaking.
Yeah, mysteriously, you have 6 months to live. You have cancer all through your body. What? That's not normally how it works. I mean, occasionally, right?
Yeah,
very
occasionally
rarely.
it happens.
But the numbers are going up. That doesn't make sense.
I mean, and it's hitting closer and closer to home. Like I could tell stories, but let's just say I don't know, what are they, second cousins that are just graduating college, friends, seemingly healthy. It actually happened to people that 2 degrees of separation from me.
Yeah, crazy.
20-something, 22 years old.
I'm saying right now, they're poisoning all the food you eat. All of it.
I totally...
100%.
I don't know. So they don't call it poisoning, right? They call it fortifying. And
Right.
we've said it on the show before. Look at the ingredients.
Yeah, we talked. We went through
all the time.
Quaker Oat box from UK to here, and it's like, oh, that sounds nice and natural. And then here it's, words I can't pronounce, which maybe that's not as impressive to some people, but no, like big words are like, wait, why is it phosphate, blah, 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 and color this, color that. Like, wait, that's not natural. So that's when I say poisoning. I'm not saying necessarily
Right.
they're
just
cyanide in it.
we got like a lot of chemicals.
It's just
that,
slower.
yeah, well,
Like
it's a
the stuff
thickening
in
agent.
McDonald's, in the Mountain Dew you're always telling me about.
Yeah.
Or the fact that aspartame, when it gets to a certain temperature, turns to formaldehyde and was poisoning soldiers in the Middle East because the diet soda and it reaches a certain temp, it turns to formaldehyde. Hello.
So glad I just drink water unless I went to Kuwait and then they had fountain cokes. This is coffee.
It says Rush on it.
But it's coffee from Aroma Joe's.
They have really good breakfast sandwiches, by the way.
I've had one. I've had it before.
Croissant and ham and Swiss, which I don't usually like Swiss, but it's really good. And the croissant actually tastes like a croissant, where unfortunately Dunkin', it just doesn't taste the same.
You want to know where the best croissant is in the 30-minute drive radius or less? And that's not really that far because speed limit's 35. Loon Bakery in New London.
Really? There's a bakery in London?
Oh, my God. The best croissants that you can get around here.
I love bakeries.
Loon Bakery. Their hours and days are weird, but everything in there is pretty much good. It's expensive now, so it's a treat. But you know what I mean? Like, it's a treat. It's not like going and getting a Rush croissant. Now, that's a day-to-day thing. Like, yeah, that's a good croissant. But if you want to have a good Sunday morning breakfast or Saturday morning breakfast with a good croissant, Loon Bakery. Check it out. I'm not getting paid by them. It's good.
No, it sounds good. So yeah, yesterday, so I'm kind of out of sorts too, because normally I would go to the select board meeting that happened Monday, or I'd watch it, and Varsity had a game home, which they won. Much tighter game though. They played Newfound, and they finally got through to the pitcher, and then they scored well. And
yeah, I think Zeta went to that game.
Yeah,
she said it ended up being a couple home runs too.
Yeah,
Katie, like they just unleashed.
Katie Sharon hit 2 home runs, and Lexi Durgan hit 1. And yeah, it just got to a point finally, because I think we're in the third inning. It was 0-0 or 1-1 or something. It was tight, and I'm like, oh boy, this is a really tight game. And they started the game off with a home run, first batter home run. The faster the pitcher, you connect well, ball goes, right? And so we had that game, and then after that, I did practice from 6 to 8. And Andrew actually texted me at one point, like, wait a minute. You guys were supposed to meet with the selectmen and all this, and then, well, never mind, Donna brought it up. So I'm like, oh, okay, because I'm not paying attention. Like, I know what the agenda was, but...
because they went, I say they, Mr. Kessler redid the history of it, because it was informational, so they gave their version of events, and then Donna and I think Bert kind of gave their side of the events. So that led up to the vote.
Well, then we're going to get into this in just a second. This is what most of the show is going to be today. But I just want to talk about, so today at 4 is a softball game. It's a senior game for varsity, taking on Mascoma, which should be a good game for Newport. We played Mascoma yesterday at Mascoma, and we won 14-5.
That's the JV.
The JV. And the coach is like, yeah, we didn't want to put our varsity pitcher in, which I was like, well, I appreciate that if, But at the same time, I'm like, well, it might have been smart for you too, because I can't imagine your pitcher is at varsity level is that good based on the team level. But you never know. You could still have a pitcher that is, 60-mile-per-hour fastballs, and like Tanya Sanchez, like hitting off hers. Yeah, that's a challenge. He throws hard. But no, the girls played amazing. Aubrey pitched the best she's ever pitched.
That's awesome.
I've seen her velocity get better. I think she finally, something clicked with her at the Kearsarge game, because I was like, listen, it's almost like slow motion in a way as I'm watching you. It's like you reach out a little further, and every single time you do that, you throw a strike. And, yep, she had a few that were, like, ooh, that one got away from her. Tawny does the same thing occasionally, get a ball that gets what. No, I don't care about that. First inning, 1, 2, 3.
Well, I mean, they do that in a Major League Baseball every once in a while.
Absolutely.
You get one that
best pitcher in the world has a bad day, and So she
not even a bad day, just a bad pitch or two. Every once in a while it slips.
Just,
you see something in the crowd, you lose focus for a split second. It's like golf, I'm sure.
Yeah, it happens. It's just a quick thing. And so the first inning, 1, 2, 3, perfect, like great. And I think throughout the game we did 6 innings. She had 3 innings with between her and some good plays in the in the infield or whatever. We had 3 innings that were 1, 2, 3.
That's even better when you get outs thrown and tagged out. Like that makes it.
We had like 3 throwdowns that were outs.
That's awesome.
Which were good. No, it was a good game. Girls played great, and then so we finish our season up next week, Monday at home at 4. We're taking on Kearsarge again, and then Tuesday at 4 is Mascoma. We're supposed to have Fall Mountain on Wednesday, but Miller said it was kind of not sure.
And this is for JV. So
this is for JV, yes. After today's home game, varsity's away. I think the rest of the games are away. Next weekend's all of it, and then playoffs will start the week after. So they're the number 1 seed right now in Division III in the state.
That's awesome.
Prospect Mountain, I believe it was, had the same record, but some reason we were still.
Did we play them?
Hopefully in like the quarterfinals.
But we haven't played them this year?
Nope.
Did you play them on JV?
Nope.
The boys play them?
Nope.
You've just been talking about that. That's probably who we're going to play.
Yeah.
I've heard you mention Prospect. I'm trying to put it in the context here.
They're the ones we played last year and
okay.
Semifinals, I believe it was. And we're like one of the only teams to score on them or something. Like their pitcher's like the best in the state or one of the best in the state. Like she's way up there. And so obviously we're hoping to face them then and not sooner. And hopefully this year we can rise above it. And just Tanya, even from last year to this year, I see such an improvement in the pitching. Last year, sometimes there was a lot more of a struggle. I haven't seen her struggle much this year. Girls will hit it. Girl will hit a home run. You threw a strike. You did your job. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
good on her for she connected. She read it right. Like you just got to shake that off.
Absolutely. I told Aubrey all the time. I'm like, listen, you throw it, the girl hits it. Your teammates. Now this is a team sport. Now it's their job to field the ball, catch the ball, do whatever. If they hit it and your team doesn't do the job, that's fine. You did your job. Keep doing your job.
Yeah, it's not all about strikeouts.
Nope. No, I'd rather see girls.
You know what I mean? Like there are pitchers in the major leagues that they're known for making people hit little dribblers between shortstop and second. However it's just amazing to.
Oh, it's crazy.
I used to love it. I used to watch it
most
every day,
thing
just about.
is to watch a girl throw like 60 and then throw the next pitch as a changeup. And it's like, whoa, like talk about hitting the brakes. So the girl's like swinging. I'm like, yeah, that ball wasn't even close to you yet but to watch the change. And some of these girls are just incredible to even hit it. I mean, 43 feet away. Tanya's about 60 miles per hour. Can throw curves, change up, fastball. Cheyenne can throw like a screwball, which I don't know exactly what that does.
I know what it does in the cartoons.
Right, exactly. I don't think it does that because that'd be pretty impressive. But it's crazy and all underhand. Windmilling it down.
That's impressive.
It's been a great time. I've really enjoyed it.
Does Superfan come out to the games?
He does.
I didn't see him out there, but I didn't stay for varsity.
He looked good too. He had a haircut. His beard was trimmed. Like he looked. He's come out of the hibernation because we usually see him in the wintertime. So he's got long hair and everything. And
like Grizzly Adams up.
And it's good because the kids are pretty good with him. Like they'll give him a little bit of a hard time, but they're pretty good and pretty respectful to him. And they call him Superfan because he's at
everything. He's
basketball, softball, football. He's
positive too. Like at least when I sat next to him, and
he loves Newport sports, and it's great. I love it. So yeah, today at 4:00, if you're out and about, want to stop down, senior game for the varsity girls, and then our next game will be home on Monday and Tuesday, maybe Wednesday too. I'm hoping, and our season will be over. Unfortunately, it's crazy because you just get into that rhythm. I'm like, okay, they're starting to get it. We're really starting to, and then it's like, oh, season's about over. And me and PJ Lover are talking the same thing. Like, yeah, you just get into it. It's like if I could get a couple more weeks to the season, because you're dealing with April and the weather's horrible, right, and you practice inside for 3 weeks, and you don't really get to learn it well until you get out on the field, So
yeah, it takes
The advantages of living in Texas.
Well, but that was when you were saying they got some throwdowns or throwouts. Like, that's awesome because when I watched the other day, it was just they were too quick. Instead of just taking one extra split second to focus, and you know what I mean. And as you're watching from the stands or whatever, you're like, oh, you got time. You got time. Relax. But then they, because they're trying to get that out, and it's like but it takes practice. Takes to calm down and realize that your throw is going to get there way before they're going to get there. You just got to hit it right in the chest.
Yeah, it was one of them. It was funny yesterday because Lydia was like bobbling and it was like hit right to her. All she had to do was touch the base because bases are loaded and it would end it. And I'm like, come on. She luckily just in time. Like, you grab it with your hand, not your glove, just pick it up. But pressure, like, oh. Luckily it happened because I'm like, of course I'm the hardest on her because it's like, it's my kid, so it's different, right? So but I was like, oh, or something would happen, and I try not to get frustrated too. But I put a lot into it too. So when I see mistakes that are especially stupid mistakes, like, come on, we practice this,
and they know better.
Time. Yes, it's funny. Yesenia say stuff sometimes. She's like, I was like, Yesenia, when you hit the ball, like, run immediately. And she's like, I know that, but just like blonde moment or whatever. She's not blonde, but no, it's been great. It's been a great experience, and I'm gonna miss it. Andrea is kind of excited that it'll be over soon, but I'm kind of disappointed because I'm like, we're just getting into it. Like,
and when you get to see them succeed and you win a good game like that, especially you put some runs up, so that means a lot of the girls got hits. They were involved.
Yeah, I think every one of my girls got on base yesterday. Even Aaliyah, who's literally played one game, never played before. She got walked, and then she got on base, and even her, like, I'm telling you, like, this girl, I'm like, just stick with it because just by next year, she's gonna be like, I don't know, like, you're like gonna be a Sammy Sosa hitter. I just see it with her standing in the box. She's got the swing, like,
she's got
it's
a
there,
good natural swing.
Yeah, because she hit a few off the pitch machine that were well into the outfield. I'm like, see, it's just repetitively doing it,
getting the confidence and seeing it.
Yeah,
like once you see it, like, that's what I loved about golf, baseball. Like when you're putting in golf, if you see it, it's like not even, you don't have to think about it.
Right.
There are days
natural.
where you just walk up and you see it, you tap it, you walk off all cockily.
Lydia struggled a little bit yesterday, and she's been struggling with her batting. But I think what's happening is at the beginning of the season, we were facing better pitchers, so they had a little more speed and accuracy. In the last two games, the pitching has been very spotty. So it's either very much a ball or it's a good strike, and the speed isn't there. So I think it just throws her off. It's just like the other girls. You'll watch them like, I know that girl's a home run hitter, and you stand up there and strike out because the pitch comes in, it's slow or something with it. And I keep telling, like, don't get down on yourself. Like, this is why you need to learn.
Yeah, just put some contact on it. Make them throw you out.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
put the pressure on them. It don't have to be a home run every hit.
No,
that's nice if you get one.
Right. No, it was a good game. So
awesome.
Great job, ladies, and great job to the Newport varsity girls who are 10-0 now. And I think there's 1, 2, 3, it's about 5 games left, I think, until playoffs, something like that. And a few of them are almost unfortunate they have to play them because they need it for points, because my team should play them. Like, Hinsdale's one of them. Like, my team should be playing them, not them, because they're just so much higher at a level. But it is what it is. It's a point system in New Hampshire, so you have to play them. If you don't play the game, you'll be at a disadvantage. So we want to try to obviously get the best seat we can.
Right.
So, yeah, great job with that, ladies. Super proud, and I've been getting there early and like working on the field for them, and I've been helping with like the practice on the day of the game too. And I told Jeremy, who's the assistant, goes like, I just don't want to step on your toes. He's like, dude, you're not stepping on my toes. It's all good. Well, I don't, I get it, and I know how much passion you guys have into it, and I do too. And how, like, when you put a lot of time into something, you.
Does he usually, like, as a base coach, or?
No, he's an assistant coach. He knows it really well. He knows Tanya's his daughter, and his stepdaughter, same thing. We don't.
Right,
my family doesn't use step, but he works with her all the time with the pitching, and has seen her develop, and he's great for like my girls too, because between him and Stanley, they're perfect, because it's like they both have so much knowledge. I'm learning from them too, and the girls are learning. And we did a joint practice like last week, just timing wise, it worked out. And Stanley's like, I don't know, let's do it together. Perfect. Varsity did the infield. my girls would stand behind them, and then they'd switch, and so it's an opportunity to learn. My girls don't like it because they feel like pressure. I'm like, oh no, that's what you need.
You need
the
that pressure
to
push
you to be
better whenever
exactly
we're all sitting there cheering for you.
Exactly. So
that's awesome.
No, it's been good. So, all right, let's get into the controversial stuff today.
I don't even know that it's controversial.
No, it's not controversial. It's a slap in the face to the voters, maybe. I don't know.
Well, can I talk about the?
Yeah, you should talk about it to start with because.
Well, I was going to talk about two things from the board, the meeting, the select board meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I was not there, so I'm like I said, I kind of feel in the dark with some of it. I only know a little bit, so I'm.
So the first one was the management, construction company, whatever, came to ask for a reduction in user fees for Spring Street, and then he was also on the line, I think, was the developer or money man for the Ruger building as well. And they were complaining about the user fees because, well, number one, they said they weren't published anywhere. They didn't know what they were. Normally, they're only about $15,000 for apartments, like what they're putting in. And what I heard, and what some of the other gentlemen and ladies in the audience, based on some of the comments, heard, they didn't really do their research enough to allocate, because our fees are $2,400-ish per user fee, not a connection fee, user fee. And I guess the way that it has worked out, so I'm just going to summarize it here, is we charge them $2,000, whatever it is, for a hookup or a user fee. And then the state has that $10,000 per unit. And the town, if we receive that $10,000 per unit to do workforce housing, then the town gives them a 33% reduction on those fees. So they don't pay the full $2,400 or whatever it is. So they're only paying 66% of the fee and compared to 100%. Well, these developers are like, well, that's not fair. It's not published anywhere. This is way too much money to be asking for. And from my perspective, when I was listening to their first briefer speak, he made it sound like we're jackasses for letting these two units come into our town, because the way that he worded it was such that he said, they've been trying to get these workforce housings all across the state, and no one would accept them, but now they got the incentives just right to where towns are now letting it go up. So what I heard, what that translates to the skeptic in me is, this housing is not really that beneficial to your town because it's not the best housing. And because we're bribing the towns are going to allow them, therefore, those people to build the thing. So for me, all I heard was, this is a bad deal, because the way that guy talked for like 7 minutes, and there was a guy in the audience that kept trying to get his attention, because I think he heard it the way that I heard it, which is he was kind of shitting on workforce housing in the past because it's not that beneficial to the town, but with these monetary incentives, now towns are more likely to let it in. So all I heard was, you're being bribed to let in workforce housing because it's not beneficial probably to your town. That's what I heard from my own personal, from listening to their first guy that talked. And to the board's credit, all of them were like, yeah, you should have done your research, and we're offering you a 33% reduction if we get that $10,000. But, we have to, and I think it was Hunter that had said it, we have to have something to it. This will help us in any case that we have an overwhelming of the lines, because, we're adding a lot of people quickly. He may not use those words, but that's basically what I understood he was saying. And so the board stood firm and was like, we'll look at it. We'll do some research, because if we change it for you, then, like you had said on the zoning, now you're setting a precedent. And so I appreciated that from the select board. So not really anything controversial, except for the fact I didn't like the way their own people were briefing it. And, oh, by the way, all I kept asking, because Donna was sitting next to me, and one of their people's on the right of me, so I kept asking Donna rather loudly, passive-aggressively, if these were for-profit companies, because the guy was also bragging about how the state is paying them to build these. So they're not even really investing all of their own money. That's not to say that some of these gentlemen or women, whoever, but they were all gentlemen there, don't have any of their own private money invested in this. But let's not act like you're taking a big risk when you're getting most or partial funding. I don't know how much it is, so I won't say most.
It's a lot.
Some of your
It's
funding,
most.
you're getting your funding from the state, and then you're going to come in here and
federal government,
state and federal government, and you're coming in here asking us for a discount when you're going to put up these houses that you got to maintain for roughly a couple of years, and then after that, who knows what they turn into?
Yeah. So the way they work is like for Spring Street, I believe it's like a 99-year commitment. They have to be held to a certain standard for the federal government.
Is it 99 years?
I believe so.
All right.
So
I hope so.
But that doesn't mean that's going to happen, because if that said company goes out of business, who's going to take it over then? So I'm already skeptical of like any of that, and it's federal. Like I said, the amount of money they have in this project is very minimal. The amount of money the state and the federal government has in this is mostly because they're built on tax credits. So I have tax credits I can offer to so-and-so. So for $1 million, you'll get 10 million out of this deal over 10 years or whatever. So that's why people invest in. Okay, I have a lot of liability on my taxes. I'm going to have to pay in 30 million this year. But if I buy tax credits and spread it out, so that's how the federal government puts money in different communities, is through that, which I was glad to learn that, because I always wondered, like, well, how are you actually putting money? Well, that's how. However, it's still all subsidized housing, whether it's Section 8 workforce, whatever. It's still subsidized housing. It's subsidized by the federal government. They only can charge a set amount for the rentals, and it's set by the state. But obviously, they're getting money from the state on the other side of it or whatever. It's not like they're doing this out of the goodness of their heart. They want to build it. So I've said many times, like, listen, these guys that are building them right now, or the ones that have put projects in, and then most of the time, then they just sell the project.
Right, like they're not interested in Newport. So here's my takeaway from it. Number one, in the military, when I was in charge of things, and I had somebody that was doing research for something that I'm responsible for, which is everything, whatever, right? But so let's say they do all their research and they give me like, hey, Colonel Morris, we need X amount of dollars to execute this mission. So now I know to go and ask for the exact resources that I think that I need. So if I go and ask for those resources, and then it comes back to we need 44 or 60,000 more dollars because we estimated this, I'm going to say, well, why'd you estimate it so lowly? Why didn't you call the town and ask them how much it cost? Then they would say, well, I couldn't find it on the website. So like if they told me, well, I looked on the website and I couldn't find it, I would say, well, you're fired off of this project. It will reflect on your evaluation. You need to pick up the phone and call somebody. So I have no sympathy for these people, because I felt dirty while that guy was talking, trying to, I don't know, make us feel guilty that they're building this housing in our community. Like we're supposed to be thankful for them. Like I understand an influx, you want more population, but like, let's face it, you're not building luxury homes that are going to bring in $1 million worth of tax base. You're bringing in workforce housing that, it'll increase like the traffic flow at the gas station and whatever else, but it's also going to probably increase crime. It's going to increase the need for health services. It's going to increase cost on the school district possibly. So you have all this other stuff, and you're sitting here crying about $66,000, and you're a for-profit company. Get out of here. And if I would have been on the board, like quietly in the back of my head, I'd be like, I want to get rid of all tax breaks. Like I hope that we don't. I wouldn't hope that, but I would not want to give them any tax breaks after hearing them the other night. So I was very thankful that the board did not bend. I was also grateful that they said, hey, we'll take a few weeks to look into it, because, be fair to that company. But as a taxpayer citizen sitting there, I was not impressed with them. And I don't really care that you didn't properly budget. Fired the guy that was supposed to figure that cost out for you and move on. And, ask the federal government for more money to cover that down, because they're financing most of this.
I get it.
Company So anyway, I'm not a big fan of workforce housing as it is.
Right.
Especially in large numbers like this, without a plan.
Yeah. No, it's I've said this for a long time on the zoning board. We approve all these things with no more thought going into them. It's almost like it should be much bigger process of like maybe the select board, this planning board, this zoning board, maybe we should all be meeting on these big projects, not small stuff, whatever. Me and you want to do something, okay, piece of cake. Because we don't know all the information, and we take everything they say as factual information.
Right.
Well, this study. Okay, well, if our side went and found other studies, I bet we could contradict the study.
Yeah.
So
just like with when we went to the school board with
yes,
the COVID situation, like we both have differing stuff. So let's come to an agreement, or take it to the people to a vote.
Well, you can take it to the people to vote,
but apparently they approve everything, which.
We do.
I know. I don't understand how the sewage thing passed. I thought for sure people would have sympathy on the 1,400 users that it's going to charge $10 million over for 30 years. Like,
so
I just think that's a ridiculous cost. Like, you can't convince me that it can't be done cheaper. And paying an engineering firm $5 million when, I mean. Anyway, so that was one thing. There was another thing before you get to the school board thing. There was another one where a gentleman had back taxes for like 7 years. So I got from one of the select board members did say something like, well, because was it Kurt Minute?
Yeah.
He had actually said, look, man, the guy's got the check for you. He's got it in his account. Let him pay it and move on, man. Like, let's move out. And they were like, well, it's not that easy. And so they're putting this guy's property up for bid when he has the check for $35,000. He has his whole family in there.
That's bullshit. Really?
And so now, because that house that the land that it sits on is worth more than the back taxes. That's what I'm like. Where
you owe taxes?
So here's my thing. Taxes are thievery. They're wrong. I get tariffs and sales tax. You want to do that, but property taxes and income tax are it's stealing. Now I understand property tax because we don't have a sales tax in New Hampshire, so I'm okay with that. However, I'm all about a flat tax. Don't tax me on tax me on tax me. So even if this guy had a chance 2 years ago to do the right thing and he fought it or whatever, but there were other things involved, like whoever he bought it from passed away, and so there was like there was more to it than just he didn't pay it, right? So I think that's part of it, right? Like he could have probably paid it at some point because of something one of the select board members said. So I got it. Like he needs to have some accountability. But also there was a time in this country where citizens wouldn't let this happen to their fellow citizens. If there was a mistake like this, like if someone showed up and tried to bid on that,
right?
Like farmers would keep that from happening. Like you don't bid on this widow's land type of thing.
I saw a meme the other day, or it wasn't even a meme. It was a story back like early 1900s maybe, where a group of farmers showed up to the bank auction, and
that was like across. Yes, that was everywhere.
And like, you're not selling this woman's land. Like you either leave and don't come back, or the next time you come here, we will bury you in the backyard. Like, because you're not going to steal from this woman. Yeah.
So I was disappointed because the dude had the money, like.
His only liability to the town is for that $35,000.
Yeah, so they're greedy.
But now you think you can make more money off of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that like just not being a good? I got it.
I would have said, okay, bring me the check right now, and I would vote right now that as long as this check clears within whatever days, that we're good. If not, it is going to auction, right? Okay, that's fine. But
And I'm saying all this knowing, based on what they said, that he probably had a chance at some point in time in the past.
It's
right?
on him.
Like,
I get that.
Yeah, I get that too.
Right.
And I don't care. Like, taxes are thievery, man. This is America.
But they're going to start that bid at $35,000, I think they said, which is not normal. Normally, start a bid at $1,000, and the auction could go for $5,000. It could go for anything. Right. Now you can set a bid where if it doesn't meet this amount, we won't sell it. But if this guy is going to pay you the taxes,
he said he had the $35,000, whatever it was, right now to give to them, and they wouldn't take it.
So in an auction,
that's how greedy they are. Yeah. But like, so I was happy with the board when they didn't bite on, because I would have suspected. My instinct says that there's probably one or two that were having some sympathy. I have no sympathy for the developer.
Well,
I have sympathy for this guy that lives in our town. I got it. He messed up. We all mess up.
Man, I wish
admonish him. He had his family, his mom or his mother-in-law, his kids, his wife. They're all there. He was nervous. He asked them to please allow him. I mean, he asked them please allow me, because he got an email They wanted him out of the house next week.
So wait, he lives in the house?
Yeah.
Now this would have had to go to court. It's interesting because in New Hampshire, for instance, if you're sued, say you sue me for whatever, I did something dumb, you sued me, you can't take my house. Now, if I have a second house, you can take that, or third, fourth, fifth, whatever. But you cannot take anyone's first house.
Well, I don't.
You can't kick them out of. They can't be.
So again, I think there's more to the whole story.
There's got to be,
but at the end of the day,
he had the money. Just take the damn
town.
check.
The town is owed $35,000.
Right.
He's making it right. Now you're getting it. End of discussion. Save, because now you're going to have a bid. You're going to get other people involved. Now you're going to jack this up. I get it. The guy's going to. So I mean, his punishment enough is having to come up in front of all of us and say, hey, please let me stay in my house. Here's the money. Like it's not punishment, but that's
tough. It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. It's not easy to do in front of all those people, knowing you're on TV and admitting that, whatever. So anyway, I was disappointed in that because I'm the kind of guy that taxes are thievery. Mm-hmm. They tax you and tax you. Like, just look at it up some. I know most of our viewers agree with us. There's only a couple that are probably like, yeah, you pay your fair share. Like, I'll pay my fair share, but I'm not sending money to Pakistan to study homosexuality when I need a $28 million.
You can say you're not all day long, but guess what, buddy? You are.
But I don't want to, and I guarantee you most of us in America, if we were to sit down one-on-one individually and they were to take a poll, it would be overwhelmingly no.
You know where our tax money should stay? In the United States, for the United States people.
Yeah.
No. Such a joke. All right, let's talk about.
Anyway, so that was the second.
Well, let's talk more about. I'm going to do the background real fast because we're going to do a short show today. But let's talk about more not caring about the vote of the people who run the government and wasting more of your money on stuff that shouldn't be wasted on. But so I want to back up to, I believe it was it October 3rd? Mm-hmm. So October 3rd, me or Steve Morris, myself, and Jim Burrows were supposed to meet out at the bus barn and
to go over the conditions.
Because just previous to that, Donna, who had just been getting around because she just got into the to the intern position, whatever, went to the bus barn and was like, "Holy crap, the conditions here are like deplorable. It's horrible." So I was like, "Well, I've known Jim my whole life. He's on the board. I know him through I know him. I know he's a good guy. Okay, Jim, you go down here with me because I want you to see it because you're on that board and you have control to some degree on this building because it's town. And whatever.
You're 1/5 of the vote.
Yeah. So I said, hey, come on down. Jim got the date wrong, whatever. I wasn't able to make the meeting. Whatever. That happens. I get it. So that attempt was made. But me and you went and looked at it. Dirt floors, no heat, no insulation.
Condemned building on the inside where they were trying to stay warm.
Shack that's built from like stuff from the dump that Eddie Shank built, so they have a little area to go in. The fire department doesn't want it in there because there's
it doesn't need to be in there. It needs to be something more.
So technically, according to state law, the school is in violation of labor laws because you can't have employees like this. So we were trying to fix that, and hey, this is not acceptable. So in one of the meetings,
so that was on October 3rd or 4th.
Yes.
Within 3 or 4 days, we had our first meeting where Caleb came and briefed the entire board. So at that point, you and I were the only ones that were kind of tracking this because of the way that boards work. We don't, communicate or whatever. So he comes and he briefs. And then I think it was Mr. Spalding, when he heard this, was like, wait a second, this is... And it might have been that meeting or because we had a lot of budget briefings.
Yes, and we talked about it a few times. But the first thing we talked about was sending a letter to the town.
Yes, he. I think it was his motion.
Yes,
to send a letter to the town saying we're going to withhold our $5,000 rent to make improvements because
capital improvements.
It's horrible conditions there.
Yes,
which at the time, my perspective as an individual on the board was not we're breaking a lease or anything else because we're all on the same team and we're going to take our money to our shared building and instead of giving them money for whatever they're going to do with that, to pay for the electricity.
Yeah,
and I
that's fair.
don't think we're using $5,000 a month on electricity, but
Or
right,
a year, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because is it a year?
It's $5,800 a year.
Oh, okay. So
Yes.
yeah, maybe
Or it was like 58ish.
yeah, somewhere around there.
So, but we never sent a letter. And I know we took the vote. I get it. But I think the vote was actually send a letter. And then maybe at a meeting the next month or whatever, we took a vote to, I think the letter was the first part. And then we took a vote to do what you just said. And then like time went on, we were in communication, like we as in like Donna, the superintendent, was in communication with Hunter, talking about the conditions there and whatever. And then Hunter said, hey, well, what's your plan there? And
well, Hunter sent an email that not only asked about the bus
several
barn,
things.
he asked the
Eagle.
Right.
Time,
He took that
Newport Times.
not as us wanting to improve it.
Right. He took it
as they're out. They're not going to pay any of their obligations, and so now he sent her like, I need to know if you're going to pay this, and this, as if we were withholding payment
that we don't pay until June, for the record.
Right. And this is in like November, December, I think, the first time that he said, "Are you going to pay this?" And she's like, "Well, I can, but it's normally paid in June."
Yes. And mysteriously, at the same time, Jeff Kessel brought up that we only pay $5,800 and we should pay more.
Yeah, this was all at the same time. He did a consumer price index magically right about the same time.
And it should be $10,000 a year, which, I mean, consumer price index, the garage is worth more than $10,000 a year if you're going to rent it to a private person. But, okay, whatever. And we'd pay our electricity. So that would obviously be quite the increase, right?
That doesn't make any sense.
So the school's upset because the conditions are ridiculous. They're like, literally, you can go down there. There's no heat. There's dirt floors.
I tell it all the time. It looks like something we'd build in a war zone in the first few weeks, but within 4 months, it would not look like that.
Yeah. So,
and it's been like that for 48 years.
So time goes on. There's a couple different meetings that the select board talked about, what we're going to do. Long story short, the select board decides, well, apparently the school doesn't want to renew the lease, even though they were never, ever told that, and voted to kick us out, evict us. Which, the funny thing is, we got the eviction letter the day after the meeting, but it was 2 weeks later before they actually officially
voted on
kicking us out, because they never voted on it before, which kind of shows the backdoor talking, which is illegal because it's either public, non-public, and obviously the decision was made. The lease was the termination of the lease. Now, another thing, said lease. There is no lease. There's no physical lease anywhere. It was a handshake deal from 1978. So the whole, the lease, first of all, if there was really a lease, we could go at you for the fact that without having bathrooms and all the other stuff, like if you want to play the whole landlord game, if you're really a landlord, I wouldn't want to play that game because the laws in this state, the person renting the property has more rights than the owner of the property. But anyways, so this is where we get, and then we're getting kicked out, right? Bert comes to us, says, I want to do a petition article to do a lease for 99 years for $1 a year. We had to amend it to $1, one time $1, because you can't carry over from budget year to budget year. So we go to deliberate session, and it passed, what was it, 110 to 18 or 111 to 18? A huge number. And then 2 weeks ago, voting, 704 people voted yes to give us the lease for 99 years for $1. 145 voted against. So same numbers, basically. Overwhelmingly, the town supported it. Now, it seems like they've found a different lawyer than the lawyer that we're using now, because we have the same firm that we use. Different lawyer, same firm, so it's very not like it should be.
They said they're not using that guy. So they're using some property real estate guy.
They're going to spend more of our taxpayer money to fight the vote that you, the taxpayer, just voted on.
Well, that's what it appeared.
That's what they said, right?
Nah, they didn't say it like that. They implied that the vote's not really final. You have to watch it. Like the vibe,
really final. If we can find a loophole somewhere.
Yeah, the vibe was not, hey guys, let's get together and figure it out. It was still very much, there was some bad feelings from like it was almost a personal thing, where it was more of like, this has never been a personal issue. It's what's right for our employees of the town, which the school district employees are employees of the district, but they also for the town, like, right, we're all the same pocket of money.
Yes. Oh, they don't like that when you say that, though. They get all butthurt when you say that because it's not bullshit. It's either my left pocket or my right pocket. My property tax pays that school and pays that town. My money, your money, anyone who lives in town. So don't tell me, oh, it's different. Bullshit.
It's not
different.
Like
it's
we
not
should
different.
be like you said, we should have like, oh, they're wanting to put 120 units in or 110 units. Why don't we invite the superintendent or the school board or somebody so that we can make sure that we're looking at it from a town perspective? Because it's great that you're bringing in money for the town,
right?
But what about the other government entity in town that has to?
Right. So the school takes the liability for everything the decision the town makes, and then the town conveniently gets $10,000 a unit up to $1 million that the school doesn't get. The county doesn't get. Only the town gets. The town can spend on whatever.
Well,
so
it's a bribe if you listen to the first guy that they let talk on behalf of the.
Yeah, it is illegal. It's a legal bribe from the state of New Hampshire
and the federal government to put in,
which is just more of your tax money pissed away on stuff that doesn't benefit you.
No, it's going to benefit these developers who are going to profit off of it for the next however many years or until they sell it.
Yes.
So they're going to profit off of our tax dollars while asking us to spend more of our money to repair Spring Street, possibly because they can't handle the overload of 40 more units putting sewer. But so they recounted their side. Bert and Donna kind of recounted the kind of like what you're doing right now, right? So you had Mr. Kessler gave his point of view, which I don't know why we rehash the past. Because Barry looked over at me and asked me, and my personal opinion is, yes, they offered to build a pole barn, which you and Jenna went to a meeting with them. Right,
they'll build a pole. No, they didn't offer to build it. They're going to give us a piece of property out in the parking lot. We could put up like a 6-bay pole barn or 7-bay. They would contribute $25,000, and we can get this done for $75,000, which I find that very unlikely, but okay, whatever. But now it's a building.
But it's not comparable to what we need.
And it
doesn't address any of our concerns that we were trying to address originally.
It's like a big carport. It doesn't get us an office that's warm for our employees. It doesn't get us a concrete floor for our employees to work on. But, and part of the deal is they would let us use the bathroom, and we could use their mechanics bay.
But we were supposed to be allowed to use our mechanics bay in the past.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they don't like...
Right, but then that changed.
Yeah,
so
they don't like the arrangement, and so the employees on the ground are no. And that's why part of the reason we originally had asked to meet with Jim was just to go through there and say, hey,
see it.
This is what it looks like. This is what they're telling us. Can you go have a conversation from the town side?
Right. Because I think if
the employees over there...
The thing is, and it's so unfortunate because I believe if Jim showed up that day, we would not be where we are.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not Jim's fault. I'm not saying that. So don't.
Yeah, that happens to all of us. All of us mix things up.
The unfortunate event was if Jim was there and I showed him and he saw what we saw, he would have been like, "Oh yeah, this is not okay. Let me go back to my board and see, hey, what can we do to improve the conditions?" Now, you can listen to any side of the story you want. The story is the fucking story. This is the vote.
The vote is the vote. At the end of the day,
none of that even matters anymore.
And that's what I said to Barry. After all this, I was like, well, Tim and Jenna briefed us on the pole barn idea.
Right.
But my perception is the town voted. And regardless of whatever, the 1 year, 99, whatever, the town said they want us in that building. And so therefore... Now,
because they know their taxes will go up if we have to build another building.
Right.
So
that's exactly why they did it.
Yes. So, but now we're going to spend legal money. No matter how you look at it, we're going to spend more legal money.
Are they going to spend legal money?
Do you think it's going to be free for a lawyer to talk to us?
I don't. Why would they go to a lawyer? Why wouldn't they just?
Why would they? They would go to a lawyer so that they can find a loophole or try to be like,
why can't they just admit that like they took the wrong side on this? And
because at the end of the day, Hunter doesn't give a shit about this town. He doesn't live in this town. He'll be gone in a year when his contract's up. I guarantee his contract doesn't get renewed. He knows that. If he gets fired, he still gets paid for his year. He doesn't care. End of story. You ask anyone. That's the story. So it's not what's best for Newport, what's best for the community of Newport. It's, oh, hey, I'm getting you guys a rec center, and this is going to help the rec center deal by just putting everything down there, so I don't have to build a building here and this and that or whatever.
And one of the citizens brought that up, too. They were like, y'all have a hard time following what the citizens vote for. 3 years in a row, we said no to the rec center, and you said, piss on y'all, we're going to do it anyway. We're going to figure a way around it. And he was like, and now we tell y'all we want the school to have those 2 bays, and it sounds like that you're going to try to fight that instead of working together. But we do have a joint meeting.
Yes.
On June 8th. Or 4th,
our first meeting in June.
The first meeting in June is going to be a joint meeting where hopefully we can discuss this and not have to have lawyers involved, because at the end of the day, I don't think we're looking to rip off the town.
No.
We're looking to save the taxpayers' money by improving that area that we have.
Rip off the town? How would it rip off the town?
And if they need storage, why don't they build a pole barn for storage for their vehicles? What vehicles do they need?
Because they're going to put the ambulances down there, and they have to be locked in and climate controlled.
Has the town approved the ambulances being parked that far away from downtown, from the city center?
No, and the fire chief's against that, which, I don't know publicly what do you think about it, because, his boss would be sitting over in the corner. But I had a conversation. He's like, I'm against it. It's further away. And then I was told by a previous select member, yeah, but if there's a call in Goshen, it's closer, which, yeah, that's true. Except Newport doesn't cover Goshen anymore. Golden Cross does. Unless that's changed in the last year. Newport doesn't even cover there. Now, yes, they could mutual aid go there occasionally kind of thing, but Newport covers Newport now. Newport used to cover a lot more of an area. But
I thought like the original plan, since they brought back the rec center from dead, was to put the ambulances at the old rec center.
Yeah, they're going to tear it down, build a building there. They're going to put the maintenance building there for the lawnmowers and stuff, and the ambulances are going to go there. Then they'd build the rec center, and then that would be that. Well, no, now it's an opportunity like, we've always won these 2. If you go back history-wise, they've wanted those 2 bays for years.
And I think Donna said that too.
It started out as 3 or 4 bays we had, and it slowly over the years gone down.
Yeah, I think we originally had 4, but they've been saying that we only had 3. But I think back in '78 it was like half and half.
Okay, maybe they need 4 and 3. Okay, whatever.
Right,
but it's just another progression to push you out. But at the end of the day, the taxpayers in Newport voted this way, and that should be. This is how the government works.
Right.
Read the Constitution. Read the New Hampshire Constitution. It's we the people. Now, we could all vote for something stupid like, hey, we want to get rid of the fire department. Guess what? Unless there's some loophole somewhere where it says actually it's illegal, you have to have a fire department, you have to listen to the voters. Now, it's your job to get as many people out there to shut down a stupid idea, but this isn't one of those things.
Yeah, this is
leave them where they are. We don't want our taxes going up more, and we'll make the improvements we need to make. Now that's on us. We'll figure that out. But no, you're still going to kick us out and put us in a pole barn. And you still won't give us a building permit for CTE because of a grant you got on a piece of land that you want us to pay for too. So it's constantly, how can we embezzle? No, it's not embezzle. How can we take money from the school to put in our pockets on this side? And I'm not talking select board members here. I'm talking town manager. How can we do that instead of, hey, I got a piece of property up here, no problem. We'll
yeah, like that's the way it was originally briefed from the state. The first guy,
no, it's just gone higher and higher. Now
Hunter
it's like
called one of his
grand.
bureaucrat buddies, and now it's not that easy. Even though a month and a half ago, before I left for Texas, it was going to be done in like a week, because it's just a matter of this size land, a size of land that's not under recreation use right now, and you just go, I'm going to trade this out and this out, and now it's cost is going up. You need surveys, you got to do all this. Meanwhile, they're possibly going to delay construction on our CTE. That's not. I'm sure that's not being done on purpose, though.
Those are your words, not mine.
I'm just saying.
So
anyway, it just you're right. The town voted. I understand that. You decided to change up the whole. You took an opportunity where we were having a discussion at our board about improving the conditions for our employees, and you took that as an opportunity to kick us out so you could take that over, not build whatever you told the town you were going to build before you decided to change the game up with the rec center. Are they calling it a community center, or is it back to a rec center?
Community.
The community center that... And I was for the community center, but the town voted it down 2 or 3 times now.
And like Bert said, all you had to do is throw it on the warrant as that the town would accept it as a gift or whatever. And I'm telling you, it would have passed. I have no doubt it would have passed.
I mean, if the freaking sewage treatment plant passed at $28 million or $10 million bond, whatever it was.
And this is literally free. Like we all know at the end of the day, it'll end up costing a little more money than it does now because you're probably going to need well, we should need a full-time maintenance or like a cleaning person so that, you know, stays clean and stuff. But so sure, it's going to cost a little more. And I'm still fine with that, okay? But if you just send it to the voters, but the problem is it was a pride thing, because if the voters did say no, which I can now see that happening, but however, if they said no, it would have been a pride thing, and then, but no, they're just going to make you do it, which, you know, and for me, like, I still support the rec centers or the community center, whatever, so I'm kind of like, whatever. But now it's like trending, right?
It's like a baby game that we're playing,
you know,
now.
And I know you turned down the bond. Yes, you're right. Technically, the taxpayers voted no on the bond of the money for us to pay for it. We didn't say no, we don't want a community center. Now, some people in their vote were probably thinking that, like, no, we don't want to do it. But until you actually just had a vote saying, hey, do you accept this donation? Just like our board for donations, you know, vote to accept it. Same thing. Like, all you got to do is have a vote.
And I would be interested to see what kind of conditions come with us getting that money from Shaheen. I think I asked, and I think Mr. Kessler said nothing or whatever, but I just feel like anytime, nothing's for free.
Not normally.
Yeah, you know, it's not often that you get something for free. That's too good of a deal. Just like grants are not free. They're somebody's taxpayer dollars.
It's ours, just a smaller portion maybe, but yeah, there's no such thing as free.
So anyway, from my standpoint, I didn't walk out of there thinking that this was going to go to lawyers now, because, I mean, that would just be silly, especially if we're having a joint meeting to discuss it. So I don't think it's going to come to that. I think really what's going to come down to is let's have a discussion of what it's going to take to make the improvements and everything else. And
I don't get it anyways, because, and I said this, I text Jeff North earlier because, like, he's on vacation and stuff, and I'm like, hey, you know, just so you know, like, I told him, I was like, when you get back, I want you to come down to the bus barn, because I want to do the same thing I was going to do with Jim Burrows, just because you're new and just to show you. Now, you know, you're on that board, whatever. I just want to show you what I saw when I walked in here, and I know Jeff pretty well. He's a businessman. I'm business. Like, I think he's going to look like, oh my God, like, this is not acceptable. So just so that it's in your mind, you see it that way. Because I feel like some of the other board members are just looking at, like, well, you guys said you weren't going to pay rent, so we did what we did.
Yeah, that's what they keep saying.
Like,
and it's like, that's...
But it's stupid, because at the end of the day, voting to kick out the school is political suicide. No real politician or no person with a brain would say, and I apologize to all five of you because y'all voted for it, and I just said you don't have a brain, but why would you touch it? Herb Teller would abstain from a lot of votes, and I didn't like it, and I didn't agree. You should have abstained from it. Let it die, let it just abstain. Say, nope. And then when it comes up like this, you can sit there and be like, listen, I didn't vote to kick him out. I want nothing to do with this, because it's ludicrous.
It is. It doesn't make it like they can't let go. They're stuck in the mindset, some of them, not all of them,
Right.
that we voted like there was some nefarious thing that we had. Our employees,
the $5,800 freaking dollars a year,
were not being. They didn't have access that they needed. There was other things that were going on that have been said in the past. That's another reason why we were meeting privately with a board member, so that if we were talking about an individual person, it would stay individual to individual, and it wouldn't come out at a board meeting or on our show, because that's trying to give them the right thing to do. Like, trying to let them do the right thing and fix their situation on their side while we figure out how to get a better floor, a better office space for our coordinator. I mean, it's going to be hard to retain people if they don't have a good work environment. And that was the issue. It wasn't anything to do with Hunter or the board or anything else. It was the working conditions were not up to standard. Right. For anyone.
And the town should know all about this, because their working conditions down in the DPW, they can't keep employees. They have 3 there that have been there for any period of time. All the rest have quit, and they last about a year, maybe. I think I've said many times on the show what the reason is, but whatever. But at the end of the day, the taxpayers voted. We are the bosses of these boards. And
collectively, we have a vote each individually,
and they should be doing what the people of the town asked for.
Right. Like, I'm just telling you, I get pride and everything else, but if the roles are reversed, and I took an L like this, I'd be gracious and be like, all right, let's meet with the board and get this fixed.
But the reality is, if I was
I wouldn't have done it. I would have been like, I get it.
So if the
you
town,
want better conditions.
So if the town voted on something and I was just totally against it, like 100%, like as a school board member, like, nope, we're doing it this way. And if I was totally against it, and to the point where I'm like, no, I'm not doing this, I would resign, be like, no way, not doing it. Have no interest in this. Peace out. I won't have my name on this. So that's how I feel about it. It should be the same. People voted, so they should just sit there and say there's some sort of negative outcome to this. Which, how can there be a negative outcome except Hunter doesn't get his way, where the ambulances and stuff go here, which I'm sure is going to save him money somehow, because now structurally the building is there. You're just going to have to update it with a floor and stuff. So he's going to save money on the rec center part and do that instead of what he originally told everyone they were going to do. So if I was a select board, I'd be like, yep, nope, that's what the vote was. Now we need to sit down with the school board and figure out the details of it. Like, okay, we need a roof. Okay, well, when the time comes we need a roof, the school's responsible for the portion that's over theirs. We need our own electricity. You're right, you shouldn't be paying our electric bill. I had said previously, I'm like, it'd be nice if you kept it in your name, like the meter, and would pay the meter just because they get a really good rate. They get locked in with their solar panel thing or whatever. But whatever happens there, whatever. But it's a simple thing, but no, it's we want this and we offer. Now if they had said, hey, we'll build you a building out here with 4 walls, a concrete floor and whatever, and put your buses in there,
or
okay,
like share the cost of it,
something,
whatever, like
something, not here's 25 grand
for a pole barn that doesn't
right.
meet any of the, not complaints, but any of the complaints that we made.
Right.
Or
25 grand, you're gonna get up to $1 million just for housing you brought in that you have no liability on, that we have. 25 grand's nothing to you, nothing. But when we already have a budget set for next year, and we don't have a bunch of money in that budget and 75 grand, yeah, okay.
So I'm not going to get worked up on it, because I feel personally the same way that I told Barry, which is the town voted. So
right,
like even if you go to a lawyer and the lawyer tells you it's illegal, so you're not going to give us that. So you're all going to support Hunter getting a lawyer and saying that was written however Bert had that written, because it was his thing that he did. It's not legal. So nope, too bad. You still have 700 out of the 800 or 900 that came and said you chose the wrong side on this.
You still have a majority of the town a big majority of the town that's in favor of the vote right there.
Right.
I don't care if the number
so it doesn't really matter
right.
about anything other than the fact, so that's my personal opinion. So we're getting animated while we talk about it, but at the end of the day,
this is because it drives me nuts.
No, I know.
So
well, it's because
simple.
I know that Bert got some zingers in too. There were a couple of zingers. I think Bill Carr threw one in there. I can't remember his, but Bert's.
Oh, Ed Carr.
Ed Carr, sorry. Ed Carr threw one in, and then Bert threw one in because they were talking about the rate for the user fee since 1988 has been $2,400. And so when Bert was recounting the school, because Jeff told his side and then Bert told his, and Bert was like, it's kind of odd that, that's the price it's been since 1988. You haven't done a consumer price index search on that yet? Might be more. They may need to pay us more or something like that. It was like, it was a good zinger. I liked it. It was pretty funny.
So if you haven't watched the meeting, which I haven't, I will watch it because it's NCTV. Go on either their Facebook page, is a website. It'll be there. Watch the meeting for yourself and see.
So you're getting all worked up on secondhand information.
I'm taking what you said, but I also have information.
But I'm not even that worked up.
But I have information before that too.
You're the secret.
It's just what gets me
bearer of the town that you don't know what you can and can't.
I'll throw the example out right now. Okay, so I'm going to leave here very shortly, because I'm going to wrap the show up because I need to go. But I don't have a game today, but I'm going to go down. I'm going to help get the field ready for varsity. That doesn't benefit me in any way. You know why I'm going to do it? Because I care, and I want it to happen because it's a team thing. And I consider myself, just because I'm the JV coach, it's a team deal that softball, and this needs to happen. Those girls need the field to be good for this game, whatever. So I go and I help. And I've spent many, many nights down there from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 8 o'clock at night after my practice is over. Why? Because I care, and because that's what is important to me, is making sure it happens. So it's the same thing with this. Everyone should be looking at, okay, well, this has to happen. So if we really do truly want that space, then we need to find them another space that's going to give them what they need, and we need to work with them on that.
Yeah, and
that's
what the town said. The town basically said, "Hey, look, we're not looking to build anything new. We're not looking to spend a lot of money."
Right.
Like,
so all I'm saying is, honestly, at
clear.
the end of the day, please come to our meeting, our joint meeting. Be there so you can see it for yourself and whatever, and we'll see what happens. Right? I mean, I just know from conversations we've had that sounded very much like even before this vote, they were like, well, technically this isn't legal or whatever. And they didn't plan on following it. And then it kind of seems
that's right. You're right, though, because somebody said something, and I think it was Doug Ring, that was like scare tactic. Basically, like trying to still, instead of just admitting that, like, hey, the town voted, we lost this. Now let's, even if there is something that you think is illegal or whatever, or like
historically,
it doesn't matter about, like, if it's not legal to pay $1 and it needs to be more, whatever, that's stuff we can take care of, whatever. At the end of the day, the town said, we want this. Just like last year when the town said, we want the firefighters to have whatever.
That they didn't get.
Yeah. Like,
You
so
voted on it. So where'd that money go, I wonder?
Yeah, so
general fund?
No, so I guess, I don't know, whatever
I don't
excuse
know.
they used or whatever, but
It wasn't done
yeah.
the correct way or whatever.
But the town still said, this is a good idea. So did you write it this year and make sure that the voice of the town was activated in the sense of how it was voted on with the firefighters last year? I would guess no. That would be my guess.
No, they didn't get it.
Yeah.
They didn't get it. No,
And that's BS because we voted for it. They took it to the town, and the town said yes. In a democracy, it's mob rule. Mob rule is whenever you take the most ideas, votes, whatever, and then you go and you implement it. That's what democracy is. So when all of you people are out there saying, whatever our democracy, whatever that little weak-ass saying is that they repeat all the time to try to brainwash you.
Our democracy.
Yeah, it's such bullshit. Number one, it's a constitutional republic. But if you want it to be a democracy, that's mob rule. That's the most people show up. That's who's influencing you. That's the most people that voted. It doesn't matter that you're like, well, only 800 or 900 voted out of 5,600. So that's not really the will of the town. It's the will of the vote. So execute.
That's all the votes you
That's
ever
all that
get.
matters. It's whatever it is. So if that was done wrong for the firefighters last year, then you say, hey, guys, look, you messed up. I appreciate what it is. It looks like the town wants this. Hey, fire chief, how can we work? I can't even remember what it is. If it was pay raises, equipment.
It was to change their scheduling so that
Yeah.
it was like 48 hours on. It was just to change it to make it easier for them. But because it fell into like a contract kind of thing or something, it was just a loophole that.
But at the end of the day, they should make that because the town agreed with the firefighters. Like, hey, they convinced us that their idea was good.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do what the town says, go out and rally those troops up underneath your cause.
Right. Do a better job of getting people.
Get
to show
your
up to
four
say
buddies
no.
that know everything that's going on in the town, while the rest of us don't, apparently. And these are the four buddies that aren't on the board or anything else that apparently know everything that we don't know. Get those four guys or gals and go out and convince the people to vote your way because they know everything already. And if they know so much and we're always wrong about everything, and yet they know more than us and they watch the same stuff as us.
Yeah.
It really bothers me. That's not how America was formed. You don't have secret societies. You don't have secret meetings where 9 people or 7 people know what's going on and the rest of the town doesn't. Like, it's bullshit. You go and you make your voice out into the public, and that's how it operates. Otherwise, you're subversive. You're subverting the way that the town is supposed to operate. If 7 or 8 of y'all are going around and making backdoor decisions, screw you. I got nothing for you. And don't ever ask me for anything from you or your business or anything else. Be above board. Come, say your piece, have a good attitude, be positive, and move out. But there's no secret societies or secret meetings where 9 people know what's really going on and the rest of us are out here barking like dogs and you're going to fucking make fun of us? Fuck you.
Well, there is, but anyways. So
That's not America.
All right, so we're going to wrap this up. But
You don't have secret fucking meetings.
so we
You
failed.
fucking do everything in fucking public. It bothers me, Tim.
I didn't even
I
have to
fucking
say-
served in this country for
Yes.
fucking certain rights and everything else, and you're gonna have dipshits going around. You don't know everything. Well, fuck you. Put it out in the open. Let us know everything. I'm not perfect. I got all kinds of fucking shit wrong in my life, but I'm not going around acting like I know more than anybody else.
So today, we failed.
You might want to cut some of that out.
I ain't cutting nothing. Yeah. So
I don't want my mom to see that. Man, she'll be disappointed in her son dropping so many F-bombs.
yeah, don't watch the end of the show, Mom. So we failed at doing a short show today, but we succeeded very much today at pissing off a lot of people. We do that well.
But again, the voters spoke. I have a good attitude towards it because I think that that's what should happen.
Right, and if they voted against it, we would have figured it out.
If they voted against it, that'd be a good-looking pole barn, and they'd probably be like, well, you wouldn't, they would flip it and say, well, you still went and advertised for the vote or whatever, and you didn't accept it until after you lost the vote, but whatever. At the end of the day, we want what's best. I want what's best. Our personal conversations before, over the last 4 years has been like, we just want good things for people. We love Newport. We love everything about it. I just don't like secret societies making backroom decisions and we're all supposed to accept it because you know more than the rest of us. I have issue with that. That's very un-American. It's very undemocratic. It's very unconstitutional republic. So that's why I'm upset is if you're having secret meetings and you're trying to manipulate shit behind the scenes, you're not an American citizen that I support. That's my take. That's my take on it. Like, I don't believe in that kind of stuff.
It's taken just over a year, but I finally got you to go off on the show.
I don't like that kind of stuff, man.
No, because it's not above board.
It's not above
Everything
board.
should be above board. Like when you vote for something, it should happen. Yeah. When you take an oath to uphold the Constitution, it should happen. If not, you should be in shackles and in a cage.
Yeah,
that's what should happen.
And it's not just directed at this town. That stuff goes all the way.
That's a very broad statement. That ain't nothing about the town. That was way up there in the national level there. All right, guys, I gotta go on a softball field, but thank you for watching. We'll see how many views we get on this show, and we'll talk to you on Friday. And have a good day. Try to stay warm today. The rest of the week's supposed to be beautiful. Good luck, girls, in softball today, and we'll see you around town.
Till I see the golden gates, troubadour and troubled souls, one of God's servants. Blades out, cut the grass till we see the serpents.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to